Hey there, curious minds. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
We're the place where we try to take complex ideas and really unearth the fascinating bits just for you.
hmm
Today, we're diving into two, well, really thought-provoking essays. They challenge us, to think deeply about how we live.
Yeah, and how we interact, how we influence each other.
Exactly.
And our mission today basically is to connect some pretty powerful ideas from, what it genuinely means to find happiness
Right.
to looking at how, well, gentle influence often works better than just using force.
Yeah.
So we'll try to distill these concepts, explore the nuances a bit, and give you a clear, engaging understanding.
Almost like we're just chatting about them over coffee.
Exactly like that. Hopefully you'll have a few aha moments, maybe some things you can even use in your own thinking, or perhaps your writing too.
Okay, let's jump straight into our first topic then. This one, it really makes you reflect on your own life's journey, doesn't it?
It really does.
The essay asks us to think about this. Is there no path to happiness? Happiness is the path.
Mm,
It sounds clever, but it's more than that, right? It's asking, is happiness this ultimate destination, something we're always striving towards,
Mm.
or is it actually the way we live, the journey itself?
right. Before we can really answer that, though, the essay says we need to understand something crucial.
Okay, what's that?
Understanding what happiness truly is. And what's fascinating is how simply it puts it.
Hey, simple,
It defines it as basically a mental state or psychological,
right?
being joyful, grateful, and carefree.
Carefree, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not something you can, point at.
Exactly. It's not physical,
Yeah.
but it's expressed, through actions, through how you are inside, your disposition.
So less about big flashy things and more about an inner feeling. Can you give us a clearer picture? What does that look like day to day?
Absolutely. Imagine a baby just giggling, no worries,
Yeah.
right? That's pure innocent bliss. In adults, well, it often looks like contentment, being okay with what you have, but still hopeful for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's about being able to live in the moment, really be present, not always stuck on past regrets or, future worries.
Right, while dwelling.
Not dwelling.
Yeah.
The essay even mentions figures like Adam and Eve from the Bible. Not really to push a belief, but more to illustrate this idea of a basic state. Thankful, doing simple duties with all the complex anxieties we often have.
Ah, okay, so like a state of unburdened joy.
That's the essence, yeah. That's what the essay argues.
That paints a really vivid picture. So, okay, we get what it is.
Yeah.
Why does the essay stress that it's so important? Why bother trying to be happy?
Well, it connects this to the bigger picture, our existence.
Okay.
It kind of reminds us that in the grand scheme of things, human life is pretty short. We're just mere sojourners, as it puts
All
it,
right, passing through.
passing through. So to make the most this short, precious time, happiness isn't just like a nice bonus, it's vital.
Vital.
Well, the essay explains that a happy mind is just better equipped. It can push aside unwanted thoughts more easily, figure out what's really important.
Focus.
Exactly. Focus on what gives life meaning. It's almost like a filter. It helps you see your purpose more clearly.
That's a powerful way to think about it. It definitely makes you reflect. So, okay, building on what happiness is and why it matters.
Yeah.
Let's tackle that first question again head on.
Okay.
Is there no path to happiness? Happiness is the path. Let's start with the first part. The idea of the path to happiness.
Mhm.
Happiness is the end goal. What steps does the essay suggest lead there?
Right. So this view suggests there are maybe several check boxes you can tick or things you can cultivate to get to happiness, seeing it as that destination.
Okay, like what?
First off, optimism. It's about seeing the glass half full.
The classic example.
The classic, yeah.
Yeah.
And the essay mentions the Indian author Esamtint Sudhamurthy, who says in Wise and Otherwise something like, think positive, be happy. The idea is pessimism just blocks that path to joy.
Okay, so a positive outlook. That's step one. What else is on this path?
Next up is that lovely idea of Carpe Diem. Seize the day.
Live for the moment.
Exactly. Fully immerse yourself in the present. Don't get bogged down by the past or worry too much about the future. The essay says that stuff just blocks the path.
Makes sense.
And closely related is finding a still point. This comes from the poet T.S. Eliot, a Nobel winner. In Burnt Norton, he talks about it.
A still point. What's that?
It's like taking a conscious pause from the daily grind,
Yeah.
stepping back, appreciating beauty around you, finding a moment of inner calm that can lead to real contentment.
I can see that. Just stopping to notice things. What else leads to this destination of happiness?
It also talks about following your dreams and passions.
Ah, purpose again.
Yeah. It argues that, in our world that's often so focused on money, wealth by itself doesn't guarantee happiness.
Right. You can be rich and lonely.
Exactly. Think of a billionaire with no real friends or purpose. That's lonely, not happy. And finally, physical and mental fitness.
Health is wealth.
Health is wealth, yes, but the essay adds that good health also brings mental peace. Satisfaction. It mentions how various psychological ideas, even bits of Freudian thought, connect that inner well-being and balance directly to being happy overall.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a list for the path to happiness.
hmm
Optimism, Carpe Diem, the still point, passions, health. Which of these does the essay seem to emphasize the most? Is there a foundation?
That's a good question. And the essay, well, it makes you think how they're all linked, doesn't it? But if I had to pick, it subtly suggests that maybe optimism and living in the present are foundational, kind of the starting point.
Why those two?
Well, without that positive lens and without grounding yourself in the now, the other things, chasing passions, even appreciating beauty, might get overshadowed by worry or maybe cynicism.
Right. Build the internal framework first.
Yeah, something like that.
But then the essay really shifts gears. It asks this really interesting question. Can happiness truly be achieved without being happy in the first place?
Yeah, the paradox.
Exactly. This leads us to the other idea. Happiness as the path. Not the destination, but the journey itself. How does the essay explore that?
So this perspective sees happiness differently, not as the end goal, but as a means, a tool, maybe, to achieve other goals or purposes.
Okay.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, it's about how having an underlying state of happiness actually helps you on your life's journey.
How so?
For instance, the essay suggests happiness can genuinely be the path to a meaningful life. It helps you understand why you're here, maybe, and gives you the energy, the motivation to act on that purpose.
Right.
There's a beautiful quote in the essay. Our life begins when we are born, but it truly begins the day we realize why we were born. Happiness helps you find that why.
So happiness isn't just the reward, it's the engine. What other ways does it act as the path?
Well, it's also seen as key to making strides personal and professionally.
How does that work?
A person who's generally happy tends to be more open to challenges, right? They face them more head on. They often have this belief they can shape their own fate.
A sense of agency.
Exactly. The essay uses this simple but powerful idea. Smiling at the face of a problem solves half of the problem. It's about resilience, approaching difficulties with a better mindset.
That really flips the perspective. Happiness is an active force, not just a passive feeling. Does this idea extend beyond just the individual?
Oh, absolutely. The essay takes it broader. At the societal level or even national level, happiness is shown as essential for peaceful communities.
Why is that?
Without it, the essay warns things like hatred, violence, they can find fertile ground, they can thrive more easily. And crucially, it says love and happiness are what bind society together. Happy people tend to radiate that. They share it through kindness, charity, altruism, philanthropy, stuff like that.
Which leads to
Broader societal progress, better living standards for everyone. It creates a positive ripple effect.
Okay, so after exploring both sides, the path to happiness and happiness is the path, what's the essay's final take? Is it one or the other?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. It raises that important question and suggests that maybe the dichotomy of happiness as a path and as an end could be a reality.
A dichotomy, like both are true.
Yeah, kind of like how light in physics can act as both a particle and a wave. Maybe happiness is like that too. It can be the journey and the destination simultaneously. It brings in Dr. Kalam's wisdom here. When there is happiness in the heart, there's harmony in the home. And when there is harmony in the home, there is peace in the society.
That connects the interstate to outer peace.
Exactly. So maybe Robert Frost's famous road, the one less traveled, maybe it wasn't just leading somewhere, but the way he traveled it, maybe that spirit of happiness was the path itself.
So it's a dynamic interplay, not a rigid choice.
That seems to be the idea. It's not necessarily either. How might embracing that dual nature, that idea of both hand, change how you personally approach finding joy? It's something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our second deep dive for today. Another compelling question. Does gentle persuasion succeed where force fails?
A big one.
Huge implications, right? From our personal lives, dealing with family or friends, all the way up to global politics. It really touches the fabric of how societies work.
And the essay kicks off with a really fantastic, concrete example, right from Indian history.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
The Ahmedabad Mill Strike of 1918. You had workers demanding a 45% pay rise because inflation was high.
Okay.
But the mill owners, they only offered 20%. And when the owners tried to just replace the striking workers, well, things got violent quickly.
Sounds like a typical conflict escalating. What changed?
Then Mahatma Gandhi arrived on the scene.
Ah,
And through his, unique skill, his gentle persuasion, he managed to convince both sides. Not by threatening them, but by appealing to their reason, their empathy.
and the result?
An amicable solution. They agreed on a 35% rise plus a bonus. It's such a vivid example of how persuasion can work where violence just fails. It highlights consensus, cooperation, not conflict.
Okay, that's a powerful start. But let's unpack the term itself. What exactly is persuasion? And maybe just as important, what is it not? Because sometimes those lines can feel a bit blurry.
That's a really good point to clarify. So persuasion is defined as essentially trying to get people to behave or think in a way that's favorable to you, the persuader.
Okay.
But, and this is crucial, it relies on voluntary acceptance. Think of a simple sign like "thank you for not smoking." It gently nudges you, persuades you to comply.
Right, it's not a command.
Exactly. And the essay draws clear lines about what it's not. It is absolutely not force or violence. They're polar opposites.
Okay.
It's also not coercion. That means no threats, no blackmail. And it's definitely not duping like a shady salesman tricking you to get a bigger commission.
It's honest, transparent.
Ideally, yes. Persuasion should be built on transparency, on the idea that the other person freely chooses to agree. It respects their agency.
That's a really important distinction. It's about genuine agreement, not manipulation.
Mm.
Okay, so why does it work so well? Why is gentle persuasion often more effective across different situations? What are the reasons the essay gives?
The essay looks at both psychological and social reasons for why persuasion tends to win out over force. And if you connect it to the bigger picture, it really comes down to, well, human connection, our nature.
How so? On an individual level?
At the individual level, people often respond well to role models, respected figures.
Like celebrities or leaders?
Exactly. The essay mentions an ad campaign with the Indian actor Akshay Kumar encouraging men to buy sanitary pads for the women in their lives. That kind of thing, seeing someone you admire do something, it can bring about voluntary change in a way force never, ever could. It taps into our desire to belong, maybe, or to improve ourselves.
So inspiration rather than instruction.
Okay.
How does that scale up to groups or even nations?
Well, at the societal level, there's something called the bandwagon effect.
Everyone's doing it.
Pretty much. People get persuaded because others in their community are doing it. The essay mentions the hashtag Selfie with Daughter campaign in India, which really took off on social media, promoting valuing girls.
Okay. And nationally.
At the national level, persuasion helps create this feeling of oneness. It brings stakeholders together. Violence, obviously, does the opposite. It divides people.
Right.
And then think internationally. Force almost always leads to bitterness, resentment, racial hatred, xenophobia, you name it.
Long-term damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But persuasion, diplomacy, that promotes good feelings, cooperation. Think about the Montreal Protocol, the international agreement that successfully tackled the ozone layer problem. That was achieved through persuasion, not force.
Given all these examples, it really does sound like persuasion is the better way. Does the essay even consider times when force might seem necessary? Or is it consistently arguing for persuasion?
It consistently argues that persuasion is more effective and sustainable. It doesn't really give force a pass as a necessary evil. Instead, it focuses on showing why force fails and provides even more real-world examples to back this up across different fields.
Okay, tell us more about those examples. Where else do we see this principle in action?
Well, socially, think about campaigns like Beti Padhao, Save the Daughter, Educate the Daughter in India. They used persuasion, awareness campaigns to significantly boost girls' enrollment in higher education. The official education reports show that. The Open Defecation Free campaign is another huge one, convincing whole communities, not forcing them.
Okay, so social change. What about politically? Especially in tough situations.
Yeah, politically. India, for example, has faced complex challenges like Naxalism, extremism, places where using force often just made things worse.
Right, it can backfire.
Exactly. But persuasion, like in the Naga peace talks and accords in Northeast India, has brought real improvements, even in situations that seemed impossible, deeply entrenched conflicts.
That's quite something. Even in volatile political contexts. What about economics or international relations?
Yep. Economically, the essay points to the JAM Trinity in India. That's Jan Dhan bank accounts, Aadhaar ID cards, and mobile phone access, all linked together for financial inclusion.
How did persuasion work there?
It succeeded because the government worked hard to persuade people of the benefits, explaining why it mattered, how it would help them, not just ordering them to sign up.
Okay. And internationally.
In international relations, the whole idea of soft power is basically persuasion on a global scale.
Right. Culture, aid, diplomacy.
Exactly. India's relationship with Afghanistan is given as an example, building hospitals, schools, even their parliament building. That kind of development aid builds goodwill. It's persuasion, and it stands in stark contrast to the failures of military force used by the USSR and the USA in that same country.
Those examples are incredibly compelling. It really makes you wonder why force is still such a common reaction. Okay, so persuasion sounds great, almost like a silver bullet. But surely there are challenges, things that stop it from working.
Oh, absolutely. The essay highlights some critical roadblocks, and this raises that important question. If it's so good, why don't we always use it? What gets in the way?
What's the first major hurdle?
A big one is what the essay calls a use of force culture. It's like force is often the default reaction, almost a knee-jerk response to problems.
An ingrained habit.
Yeah, an ingrained habit that creates this vicious cycle of violence. The essay mentions extremism and naxalism again here as examples where this cycle just keeps going. It also makes a powerful point referencing ideas from Jain philosophy.
Which says?
That violence is never a real solution. It might seem like a quick fix, but it's only a temporary damaging one.
Okay, so overcoming that ingrained culture of force is one challenge. What else?
The second big problem is lack of trust. This is a huge barrier.
Makes sense. If you don't trust the person trying to persuade you.
Exactly, especially if there's a history there. If people feel they've been coerced or duped or manipulated in the past, genuine persuasion becomes almost impossible. You can't build on shaky ground. It just worsens relationships, personally or globally.
So, if we need to overcome that culture of force and build trust, how do we actually do that? How do we make persuasion truly effective? What solutions does the essay offer?
It provides some clear strategies for making persuasion work. It really focuses on connecting with people, on actively building trust, by being honest, transparent. The essay uses the example of how health officials in India managed to convince many initially hesitant rural villagers to take the COVID-19 vaccine.
How did they do that?
By explaining the benefits clearly, addressing their specific concerns openly and honestly, not just dismissing them, building that trust was key.
That's a great practical example. What other strategies does it mention?
Choosing the right personality to lead a campaign is another crucial tactic.
Like using those role models again.
Exactly. Using public figures people already trust and admire, the essay mentions Indian icons like Amitabh Bachchan or Sachin Tendulkar can massively improve the impact. People listen to them.
Right. Credibility matters.
Immensely. And also, involving NGOs and civil society organizations is vital. These groups often have deep roots in communities. They already have established trust.
So they can act as bridges.
Precisely. Campaigns like Save the Girl Child, Pata Bharat, Educate India, or even earlier ones like Humdu Hamare Do for population control. They show how involving these groups makes persuasion much more effective. It shows it's the right way forward when done thoughtfully.
So the big takeaway here seems to be about shifting our whole approach. Building genuine connection, building trust, and moving away from force.
Ultimately, yes.
Oh.
The essay brings it back to Mahatma Gandhi's core teachings, truth and nonviolence. His life was a testament to these as essential tools for persuasion. The underlying message is that humans have evolved. We're not just brute animals needing discipline through force. The essay is really clear. Only gentle persuasion, rooted in understanding and trust, brings success that actually lasts. Meaningful success.
Okay, that was a lot to cover. Let's try and unpack this with a quick recap just to help lock in these key insights for everyone listening.
Good idea. So for happiness, we tackled that big question, destination or journey.
Right.
Key idea 1. Happiness itself is basically a mental state. Joy, gratitude, being carefree. And the essay argues it's essential for making the most of life and finding our purpose. Key idea 2. Then there's the path to happiness view. This involves steps like optimism, think instant sudhamurti, living in the present, Carpe Diem, finding that calm still point like T.S. Eliot talked about, pursuing passions and looking after your health, all leading towards happiness as a goal. Key idea 3. But then happiness as the path flips it. Here, happiness is a means, a guide. It helps foster a meaningful life, drives personal growth, professional growth, and builds societal harmony through kindness, charity, and so on.
Okay.
Synthesis. And the essay suggests maybe it's both, a paradox, like light, both journey and destination. Dr. Kalam's quote really captures that happiness in the heart leads to harmony at home, which leads to peace in society. It's interconnected.
Perfect. And for gentle persuasion versus force.
Right. We saw how persuasion consistently comes out on top for sustainable change. Key idea 1. Persuasion means influencing behavior through voluntary agreement. It's totally different from force, coercion, or duping. Gandhi's success at the Ahmedabad Mill Strike is the classic example here. Key idea 2, it works on multiple levels. Individually, through role models like Akshay Kumar, societally with things like the bandwagon effect, #selfie with daughter, nationally by creating unity, and internationally through soft power and diplomacy like the Montreal Protocol or India's approach in Afghanistan. Key idea 3. But there are challenges. That ingrained use of force culture is a big one, creating cycles of violence, something ancient philosophies like Jainism warned against. And also, a lack of trust is a massive barrier.
Right. The roadblocks.
Key idea 4. So, effective persuasion needs transparency. It needs active trust building. Choosing the right leaders like Amitabh Bachchan or Sachin Tendulkar helps. And involving civil society NGOs is crucial. Ultimately, it all aligns with Gandhi's principles, truth and nonviolence. Humanity, the essay argues, has moved beyond needing brute force.
Excellent recap. So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, the listener, as you move forward?
Well, given everything we've discussed, here's a thought to maybe chew on, something provocative for your own reflection, maybe even for your next essay if you're writing one.
Okay, let's hear it.
How might these two concepts, this active pursuit of happiness and its dual nature, and the strategic power of gentle persuasion, how might they actually intertwine in your own life, in your communities?
Connected the two essays.
Exactly. Could applying gentle persuasion more often not only solve problems better, but also actively contribute to a deeper sense of happiness? For yourself and for those around you? Could one fuel the other?
Wow. That is powerful stuff to think about. Can using persuasion make us and others happier? We definitely encourage you to reflect on these ideas. Maybe look up more about Somton Sudamurthy's work or T.S. Eliot's Burnt Norton or the history of the Naga Peace Accords to go even deeper.
Keep exploring.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.